And then they saw me in a bra, and that was it.
What's going on, Pearl Jam nerds? You're listening to Single Podcast Theory. I'm Brad Lyons.
And I'm Brad Blazek.
And this is episode 84.
It is Single Podcast Theory.
Self-Pollution Radio, part 1 of 4.
Self-Pollution Radio. That's what I meant to say. And I said Single Podcast Theory like an idiot.
Like an idiot.
Well, I wrote in my notes SPR, which
I did
looks
too.
A lot like, well, that looks a lot like SPT.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at it, I said Single Podcast Theory. You know, I think I hate about myself that I don't realize till later.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Explain things.
Yeah, I'm bad about that too. I don't think I noticed that with you as much, but now
Really?
I'm going to notice it every time.
Oh man!
Since you pointed it out. Oh man, what a just riveting intro to this episode.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It's great.
I'm really excited about this topic, but I'm really afraid of this episode.
Me too. Because of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Us today. It's a cool topic, but us today there's something off. I will say we have I have somebody sitting in with me.
Hi.
We have an in-studio listener.
Yeah.
What's up, Amanda?
Not much. It's nice to talk to you. I was going to say see you, but you're not here. So.
Yeah. It's nice to talk to you too.
It's sad. I've never actually met you. So.
Oh my God, that's true.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow. Just in my head, it's like, yeah, we've totally met a few times, but you're right. I've never met you. That's weird.
You're not coming up to Nashville in a few weeks, are you? For to see Matthew? He's playing at the Basement.
No, he actually asked me to play for that, but I can't. I've got work.
Cool.
Yeah. No, I mean I would have loved to have done it, but I can't reschedule.
Well, I don't know. We might be coming down to Birmingham for a concert.
Cool.
So maybe we can
hit
hang
me
out
up.
with them. Yeah.
Well, why don't we tell them real quick reminder of who we are in case we got some new listeners. We are Single Podcast Theory, Brad and Brad, and we are an all Pearl Jam / all things Pearl Jam related podcast. If you look through our past episode topics, you'll see obviously tons of Pearl Jam, and then stuff like last week, like Temple of the Dog stuff, side projects, all that good stuff. So that's who we are. If you're new to us, welcome. We hope you enjoy it. How do you want to do this? So seriously, we are doing Self-Pollution Radio part 1 of 4. We're going to spread this one out because it was a 4.5 hour podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
It was really long.
Yeah, we should have talked about this. Are we going to do like the next 4 weeks?
Nah.
Or are we gonna,
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot. I mean, a month straight of just one topic, that's
Yeah.
probably a lot. Maybe once a month we'll put
Maybe
one out or something.
Put it to the people.
Sure, we can do that too.
Let us know. Hit us up.
Yeah, man.
On the Twitters and the Instagrams and let us know.
I'll meet you
if
at the
we should
Walmarts.
Yeah. You motherfucker. Sorry. That video I was watching, that just reminded me of that lady screaming at somebody.
God, that terrible video that I still don't even know what it was.
Yeah. Just some lady yelling racial
It wasn't
stuff.
that funny.
It was funny because her voice changed.
Okay.
That was
I didn't actually see it.
She was like yelling at some people, and then she's like, "You motherfucker! You motherfucker!" Like her voice went so far down.
It's weird stuff.
So, anyway.
Anyway.
All right, Pearl Jam. I don't know
Yay,
why
Pearl Jam. All right. let's get into some emails, my friend. I think is it my week for Pearl Jam story time?
It is.
All right. Let's get into this then.
Good evening. This is Storytellers. We are here to tell stories.
We just have friends up here that are listening to stories.
Have I got a little story for you?
This is the true story.
All right, so it's my week for Pearl Jam story time, and we've got Junebug Fugitt wrote us about their first Pearl Jam show. So I'm assuming Junebug's a female, right? Wouldn't you just guess?
I assumed it's a male.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
What do you think?
I never thought about
Junebug?
that.
Is Junebug a girl or a boy? If someone wrote you a letter and said, "Hi, Amanda, my name's Junebug Fugitt. I live in West Virginia."
I would say female, but I don't want to assume.
Yeah, I would say female. I don't know.
Well, let's read
Let's
it.
find
Let's
out.
put it to
Maybe
the
we'll find
people.
some clues in here.
Put it to the people. Hit us up. Let
Yeah.
us know what you think.
Is that going to be your answer for everything?
Yes. Twitter, Instagram. Let us know.
Oh, this is.
I mean,
gonna be-
Junebug could let us know too, but I
Junebug-
want to know what people think.
Yeah.
Before Junebug lets us know.
People's opinions on facts always help. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
All right. So Junebug says, Junebug Fugitt. Hey there, hey the Brads. My name is Junebug. I live in West Virginia. I've been listening to your podcast for about 6 months now. I kept hearing the Metal Up Your Podcast guys talk about you, and I love Pearl Jam. But for some odd reason, it took me a while to check you out. Now I'm hooked. Well, I'm glad you joined us. We are catching up, dude. This one's just from December.
Mm-hmm.
How's that feel?
Yeah.
We're getting more and more caught up on the Pearl Jam stories.
It's going to be a new era.
Yeah, man.
Storytimeless era is upon us.
Yeah, dude. Let's see here. I've been a huge fan of Pearl Jam since the beginning. My favorite album would have to be Vitology. None of my friends like Pearl Jam, so I feel a real connection when I hear your show every week, like I'm hanging out with friends. I joined the 10 Club in 1996. I had all of the Christmas singles. I could have given Brad B a run for his money as the king of bootlegs. I had around one.
Wait, can I stop you real quick?
Yeah.
I am not the king.
I
of
know.
bootlegs.
But I dubbed you that.
Yeah, that's true.
I had around 100 Pearl Jam bootlegs, but I lost them all in a house fire in 2009. Shit. Had around 1,600 other CDs and 200 records. I'm still trying to get my collection back all these years later. That sucks, dude.
That sucks.
Sorry. The first time I saw Pearl Jam live was in Charlottesville, Virginia on October 29th, 2013. There was a kid that used to work with me who had a band that was really into 90s music, and he actually liked a lot of Pearl Jam songs. Since he was the only person I knew who remotely liked Pearl Jam, I just gave him my second ticket and took him with me to see them. Everything about the experience was amazing. We had a blast. It was about a 5-hour or so drive for us, so we talked about what songs we wanted to hear and rated their albums to pass the time. We stopped for gas out in the middle of nowhere in Virginia. These two guys pulled up to the pump next to us and acted like they were excited to see us, and they said, "Hey, are you going to the Pearl Jam concert?" I guess we looked the part or something. We finally made it to Charlottesville around 5 o'clock and just hung out in front of the John Paul Jones Arena and talked to some other fans. We felt a little embarrassed when this 67-year-old lady asked us how many times we'd seen Pearl Jam. This makes my 27th time seeing them live. How many times have you seen them? We both sort of whispered, this will be our first time. After a while, we could hear the boys sound checking inside. For the life of me, I can't remember any of the songs they played at sound check other than Smile. I can remember that one because they didn't play it during the show. It was a real treat to be able to hear the sound check, though. It was like a little 30-minute bonus concert. The doors finally opened, and we were amazed by how good our 10 Club seats were. We were on Stone's side of the stage, about 6 rows back. The show was awesome, of course. They sounded great. Mike was running around up in the audience during several songs. Eddie kept talking about these two kids in the front row and how awesome the parents were for bringing them to the show. He talked about them several times during the show between songs. I think they were only 10 or 12 years old. At one point, Eddie gave their dad a cup of wine and said, "I'm not telling you how to raise your kids, but wouldn't it be cool if they could grow up to say that they had their first drink at a Pearl Jam show?" The dad was on the big screen, and everyone was able to watch him decide if he should or shouldn't let them taste it. Eddie realized he was on the screen and started yelling, "No, turn the cameras off. I don't want to be part of any sort of litigation." The cameras shut off just as the dad passed the cup to one of the boys, and the audience gasped. Eddie said, "Calm down. It's just Gatorade." Or is it? It was classic. He eventually invited the family up on stage for Baba O'Reilly and gave them tambourines to play. The dad, the mom, and the two boys were all wearing matching shirts with the Pearl Jam shows and dates they had seen on their backs. The two boys' shirts mentioned that their first shows were from the womb. Let's see here. Backing up a bit, Porch was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Eddie was going crazy, just like 1992 Eddie. He was climbing around on the monitors and running around, and then he started swinging from one of the lightning bolt stage lights. My friend and I just looked at each other with our mouths hanging open and said, I thought that Eddie died a long time ago. When I got home, I watched several other performances of Porch from the Lightning Bolt tour, and I couldn't find any other shows where Eddie swung from the lights like that. It must have been a particular fun show for them. Let's see. Oh, he says, and when they came back after the encore, we got Breath into State of Love and Trust. I remember you guys talking about how cool that would be a few episodes back. Anyway, keep up the good work. You guys are great. Junebug. No, you're great, Junebug. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that story.
Yeah, I think Matthew Mayfield was at that Charlottesville show too. Actually, he went up there with our friend Michael.
Right. I think he was mentioning that.
I'm pretty sure it was for Charlottesville.
But yeah, Breath into State.
Hell yeah, man.
That's always awesome.
I like hearing from people that are on Stone Side up close like that too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
the Stone Zone. Thanks so much, Junebug.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed you in Louisville. Junebug and I went back and forth a couple times.
Oh, really?
And he was saying that he was going to see Metallica in Louisville, and I was like, "Ooh, I might go to that show," but I didn't.
Right on.
So,
maybe next time.
But yeah, thanks for writing in.
Hell yeah, man. All right, what you got next?
Is it Claire?
It's Claire.
Hi guys, I have so far only listened to 2 episodes, Unplugged and the Stone Gossard episode, but I fully intend to catch up, so forgive me if the following has been covered. I was 9 in 1992, so Unplugged pretty much passed me by. However, by the time I got to 14 years old, I had developed some music taste. I saw Unplugged on a VHS my friend had taped from MTV, and I was like, ooh, this is what I didn't know I needed. Anyway, in relation to you guys falling in love with Eddie and his hair, I just felt like saying that although I appreciated Eddie, it was Stone's beautiful hair that caught my attention. Seriously, one of the most beautiful men I had ever seen. By the time I got to Pearl Jam, Stone had already cut his hair, which was a sad discovery for me, but there are still the glorious videos where he flipped his hair like no other. So I would too be in the Stone Zone if I ever sort my life out to be anywhere near a show anytime soon. Stone did have some rockin' hair.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I mean, like Pink Pop.
It was gorgeous.
92, yeah. I mean...
I don't know, man. They were a good band for the hair.
Yeah. Yeah, man, the early 90s. If you were into long-haired dudes like me, man, it was... There was some good ones to pick from.
Yeah, there were.
I mean, Chris Cornell.
Yeah, dude. He's gorgeous.
Yeah. I had long hair, but it was not that gorgeous, and I mean, it was the opposite of gorgeous. No.
Yeah, there's nothing majestic about it.
No.
It was like a sad meerkat stretched around someone's head.
I'm gonna try. I've been thinking like lately I should grow it back out.
That'd be a great idea. Why don't you do that?
I think I'm going to.
It'll probably go a long way for your self-esteem.
What would you think, Amanda?
What?
if I grew my hair out like super long.
Please don't.
What? Like, look at that picture right there.
I've decided that you
Anthrax?
should pretty much you should run all ideas by your daughter and then listen to what she says. Because
You're trying to be out of style?
Oh, she's saying that's not the style anymore.
do you have a bald spot in the back of your head, Brad?
Do I?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see back there.
Oh my God.
Amanda,
Okay,
do I have
let's
like a
move
bald
on.
spot in the back? All right, moving on, but on to the important stuff, the music. After watching Unplugged, I saw Alive on MTV, and that riff at the start always inspires total goosebumps and joy for me still. Pearl Jam are a band I will talk about for days, but I will leave you be. Keep up the excellent job. Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
Thanks.
It was a good hair email. I like a good hair email. You know what I'm saying? All right, next up we got Chris Thomas.
This is cool. This is a good
It's
one.
interesting. I wish you could see the graphics that came along with it, but it's just titled Concept Album. He says, "Hi, Brad and Brad. I love concept albums. For the last couple of weeks, I've been saturating myself in them, and it got me to thinking, can I stitch one together from Pearl Jam studio albums? I know there's some rumors that Avocado is in some way a concept album. However, the band has publicly denounced it as such. I read up on some of my favorite concept albums and really focused in on The Wall from Pink Floyd and Quadrophenia from The Who. My idea was to create a character in the same vein those two records did. What I came up with is the following. It's like plot points and then songs that go along with it. So like a boy grows up in a broken home with an abusive father, and it listed My Father's Son and Blood. His mother convinces him to run away to live a better life. That would be Breath or Go. The boy breaks free, grows up to find love, which is Given to Fly. Thin Air and Parachutes were 3 songs. While in love, he begins to see himself as his father, Pendulum. He tells his love his fear of hurting her, I Got Id. She says she's not leaving him and convinces him to move forward, which would be Save You, present tense. And then he proclaims he has broken away from his past, which would be Rearview Mirror or Release. In order to make sure I didn't go overboard with this, I tried to keep the length of the record the same as The Wall and Quadrophenia, around 80 minutes. I have 20 tracks, which I split up into 2 discs, and each disc has an A and B side. Here's what I came up with. So he's got disc 1, side A is Long Road, into Better Man, into My Father's Son, into Hold On, into Blood. Side B would be Breath, into Go, into Gone, into Given to Fly, and then Wasted Reprise. Then disc 2, he's got side A, Thin Air, Parachutes, Pendulum, I Got Id, and Save You. And then side B would be Present Tense, You Are, Rearview Mirror, Arc, and Release. It's cool to see Arc make it on there. Mm-hmm. I start off with Long Road because that track is such an awesome opener. I think it provides a bit of perspective for anyone listening. You Are is added toward the end to express how essential the main character needs his love to keep him moving forward. Altogether, this track list is just a little above 80 minutes, 83 minutes to be exact. It's a cool idea.
Definitely. Very cool. I would love to sit down and do something like this.
Make a playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I already have one of his playlists from Avocado.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what the one?
I think so.
Yeah. Make another playlist, man. Thanks for the email, Chris. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, God. Who's next?
Is it
Mr. Gregors.
He's calling us Was Up Lions and Giggle Brad.
That's a pretty.
I was talking to my friend Van on the phone last night, and I answered it by going, "What's up?" And he laughed, and we were both laughing because that is so fucking ridiculous and just dated or whatever. But there's something about it that is funny. I have to admit it.
It still is.
Like, it still makes me giggle to go, "What's up?"
Right? And that's like...
But it's so painfully embarrassing and stupid and whatever. But I don't know. There's something that works
It's like
about
20
it.
years old, though, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, let's move on. Ugh. Jesus.
So Gregor says, I listen every week but rarely write in. Here is a list of random shit that popped up in my head during the episode. Giggle Brad should never mute himself. I want everything. Coughs and snot rockets included.
Oh, God. Gregors. Oh, dude. That's really loud in my ear. Oh, I'm going to gag.
Riot Act is such a badass album. They're true masterpiece in my opinion, even though I love Avocado as well. If I listen to Pearl Jam studio albums, there's about a 90% chance of it being either Vitalogy, Binaural, or Riot Act. I never get tired of those. With Binaural and Riot Act, it may be because they're barely represented at shows. Very true. That kind of keeps the albums fresh, if that makes sense. It was such a treat to get 4 songs from Riot Act and Krakow and Other Side, which is from the same era. Oh, and Of the Girl opened.
Woo.
Every time those albums are represented at a show, it's a highlight for me. And he ends by saying, I could listen to you guys talk about anything and be entertained. You can't buy that kind of chemistry. Greg.
Aw, thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Appreciate it, man. Riot Act is a badass album. I do
He's
agree with
right
that.
about, because those albums don't get represented at shows as much, they do kind of sound like, it is interesting. Like, I'll put on Riot Act and be like, man, this is a good song. Like, they should play this more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, that's true. Like I've said a million times before, that's one of those records that, like, I'm either in the mood for it or I am not.
Yeah.
You know, but I know that it's a great record. It's just,
Yeah.
it's got certain times that it works for me. Thanks again, Greg. We got one more from our buddy John Farrar. He said, in reference to Temple the Dog, he says, Brad's nice review. These were cool little shows that I'm sure were special for the people who were there. They only played a few shows in the Northeast and out on the West Coast. I wonder if they chose the covers based on songs Andy liked. I'm sure they talked about music with him all the time. I remember everyone wondering if Ed was going to take an appearance for Hunger Strike. Yeah, that's one of those hopes. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Eddie doesn't seem to do a whole lot of that stuff with. Has he ever come out with like a? How many Temple of the Dog reunion shows were there? Do you know?
What was it? 6 or 8?
Seems like it was somewhere in that ballpark. And he never came out, did he?
He didn't come to any of them.
Yeah.
I think he was. Was he not touring at that time?
Oh, I have no idea.
I want to say that there was some kind of like scheduling things, and that's why he wasn't at those shows.
Right.
But I don't know. He could. It was like there was a couple shows in between that he could have come to, and he didn't. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what. I'm sure there's a good, and not that they're connected, but it's just like there, no appearance at the Chris Cornell tribute or whatever.
Yeah.
I just wonder. It's just a curiosity to me why. Not judging it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like you hope it's not something, overly dramatic.
Oh, I doubt it. Well, what do you mean by that?
Like there was bad blood between some of those guys or something.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
Man,
I do too.
I think it's just not the way he wants. I don't know. I can see his own reasoning for not wanting to be. I don't know how to describe it. Like more in public in that way or something.
Right.
I don't know. Like I said, it's not that I think, well, you should be at all these shows. It's not like that.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
Eddie is the type of person, he always seems to have a good reason for the things that he does, even the things that people are kind of like, what? Like head scratchers,
Right. Yeah.
I just wonder what it is.
And we can't fathom it because we're just lowly humans.
Yes. Lowly humans. All right, cool. That's it for emails. Man, that
Is it?
seemed like that was really
That was-
fast.
Yeah, it went by quick.
If you'd like to email us, you can email us. The address is singlepodcasttheory@gmail.com. You can also contact us on all the socials. If you'd like to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/singlepodcasttheory. All the incentives are there. You know, there's other stuff that's, you know, going to pop up more. Like I just did my first solo episode, and all the questions were just from our Patreon supporters. So cool things like that we try and do from time to time, and we'll do more in the future. But again, if you want to get more information on how to support the show, that is patreon.com/singlepodcasttheory. Any more housekeeping?
I think that's it. I listening to this self-pollution radio is kind of giving me like a little kick in the ass to do my own radio show,
Yeah.
because
Good.
you know, I think a lot of people, I don't know, like since I was a little kid, I would have loved to have been like a DJ. And
Yeah.
so listening to Eddie do these types of shows, it's like, yeah, I could do that.
Do it, man. I'm waiting.
So-
You just got to send me the files, bro.
I know.
All right, well, let's do this.
All right.
Let's do part 1 of 4 for self-pollution radio.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's probably like, how long did we say this was?
4.5
Around
hours.
4.5 hours, was it?
Something like over 4 hours for sure.
Yeah. And this is what, January 5th, no, 8th.
8th.
1995.
Yes.
So we got Jack Irons on the drums for the Pearl Jam
Yes.
performances.
Newly.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of
acquired
his
Jack Irons.
first kind of performances with them, right?
Yeah, he played. I think the first time he played with them was like in the fall at Neil Young's Bridge School benefit.
That's right. Yep.
But at the time, he was just kind of like helping out.
Right.
But they say what I read was that, excuse me, that this was like his official, like it's official. He's Pearl Jam's drummer.
His christening.
That was
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and we'll get more into it as we start breaking things down, but it's cool to have this, like 18 tracks total of Pearl Jam performances with him on drums, and getting to hear him find his way through songs that he's probably only played a few times. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And because that's a lot of ground to cover. I mean, both Cruisin' and obviously Dave A are kick-ass drummers. You don't just I don't know, just give me the tempo and I'll start a groove. That's not the way it works. You know what I mean? Like these guys had parts. So it's really cool to go back and listen to him really fresh on these songs, and to hear how well he did. It's pretty great.
Yeah, definitely. And we talk a lot about like Jack is real good on Jack songs and Dave A is good on Dave A songs and blah blah blah.
Sure.
But man, Jack was awesome on these Dave A songs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, because sometimes, like we said in the past, like he just the different drummers playing the other guy's music doesn't always sound that great.
Sure.
But man, there was something about these performances, especially the ones we're going to talk about today, because they're all Vitalogy songs. He sounds great on them.
Yeah, I dig the shit out of it. And I mean, there's a couple different, seems like a couple different mixes of this recording. The one I have on my iPhone or my phone is in my iTunes is the drums are so loud.
Yeah.
Like so fucking loud, but it's kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it gets a little abrasive after a while to your ears, but to get to hear all the drum, like if you want to know what he plays in these songs, here's your, like, they're not isolated tracks obviously, but you can fucking hear everything Jack does on this.
They're out. They're
it's
right
pretty
out
great.
in front.
All right, so let's get into this, because there's going to be a lot of ground to cover here. So
Yeah.
they kind of start the broadcast. Well, let's talk about this real quick. So just put some context out there for people. And maybe you want to handle this, but just kind of like the basic info about what this was, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think basically it was just like a live radio show, kind of like an underground or pirate radio,
Right.
where Eddie was going to come on and spin some records, because that's what he was doing. Was he doing Monkey Wrench Radio?
I'm pretty sure he was
before
already doing
this. He was already doing that.
I think so, man. I mean, fact check us, but I think so.
Yeah. So basically, that was after their shows. Eddie would go out to like a van that had a little studio set up inside of it, like a trailer,
Right.
and he would just spin records for an hour or two after their shows. And so this was basically
Like a long version of
an
that.
extension of that, yeah, where they all got together, just friends of theirs, different bands, and Eddie would play some songs, he would talk, and then these bands would come in and play. And Pearl Jam was going to play, and it was just, man, I don't know about you, but I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, I do too.
And was just like, this is going to be so amazing.
Well, and
it's just such a cool concept.
Well, the cool thing was back then was that, you know, you didn't have things like XM radio that were so ubiquitous, and you didn't have like this show got syndicated, right? On FM, like channels, FM stations could decide to play this. So all these
free.
modern rock stations would be like, you know, Pearl Jam's fucking huge in 1995, and Eddie's doing a radio show, and he's like letting, you know, people all over the country syndicate this live show or whatever. I just remember like, I can't, you know, because back then it was like you just counted on the nerds that were able to record these things at like decent quality, and then people start passing it around, and I was like, man, I can't wait to get a copy of this, you know?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Did you record it? I remember specifically recording this. I remember going and buying tapes and being like, is this going to be enough? Like, because how long is this going to be?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be
man, I'm going to be honest with you.
fucking
I
hours.
can't remember if Birmingham had it or not.
Oh, okay.
Or if I got it after the fact. Like, if Birmingham had it, and that would have been, I think the station was called the X at the time. 107.7 The X was like the rock station or modern rock station. And so if they played it, then I taped it for sure. I just don't remember. But I remember all that stuff. I remember the Fox Theater that got put out on the radio. I don't think I could listen to that one, but I got a copy of it like really quickly, I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved all that shit. It's just so different. Like, that stuff was so special then, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And now that's like just a normal thing bands do. And it's not on radio. It's on YouTube. And it's, you know what I mean? It's just a different delivery method.
Yeah.
But, all right. So he kind of starts off with I Davenita, or kind of like a version of it, I guess. And then I think we're just going to, it's not too long. It's just a couple minutes long. But I think there's probably some people that listen that haven't heard all this material, and we're not going to go through and play everything. But this is Eddie kind of introing this whole broadcast, so we figured this would be a good thing to play for a second. So here's Eddie.
Hey. Am I on? Hey, let's go. Self-pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, pre-pollution, post-pollution, face pollution, hair pollution, solution pollution. I don't think so. Not enough solutions to our many complex dilemmas these days. So here we are, broadcasting out from a little place here in Seattle. I don't know if we've got proven answers to any of the issues we might bring up tonight, but perhaps you can take them home and sort them out. Think about how you feel. Perhaps the beginning of change begins right in your head, letting your attitudes evolve, and this evolution takes place when there's input. And the reason we bring this up, well, we've noticed that our society here in America is opening up their homes to some folks who are overflowing with input, and we've seen potentially dangerous attitudes embraced, and we're seeing blatant mistruths treated like the gospel, and we're just doing our little bit here, far from equal time, maybe to remind a few of you out there that you are not alone in your opposition, and that you are not in the minority when you vote for change. Now, perhaps the silent majority is going to have to make some noise. I've never claimed to be a socio-political expert. I guess I feel compelled to speak out on some issues for no other reason than the fact that I've lived through them. Lived through this? Well, I have. And it's tough. It's tough out there, and a lot of people are just trying to do their best to survive, and I think some of the situations being created, or that there are situations being created that can make that impossible. Now, again, I could sound like a politician, and I'm not. I'm just a guy, and we've got politicians behaving like rock stars, and rock stars behaving like, well, rock stars will always be rock stars, but fuck rock stars. Tonight, here we've got musicians, all local neighbors and friends, and we're going to play for you. They're going to play for you live. In fact, what you've just endured is probably the longest I'll speak all evening. A couple issues might resurface, like protection of women's reproductive rights, and even the safety of women in our society, our mothers, our sisters, girlfriends, wives, but everyone came to play, and I'm not going to tell you or divulge just yet who is playing, but I'd say you're pretty lucky. We're glad you tuned in. We'll just spin records kind of in between the bands and make calls and take calls, and Jeff and Stone will come through, and it should be a real interesting night. Anyways, I got a record player in front of me, and I'm going to start playing some songs. I'm going to play a song now that probably didn't get much airplay back in the day, but it's off the Daydream Nation record by Sonic Youth, and it's track 1, side 1. It's called Teenage Riot. Talk to you guys in a bit.
Just awkward Eddie. Awkward, cool, funny, smart, weird Eddie. I love it. And go ahead.
It's so interesting that what he's saying, like we were talking about earlier, like you said, if someone showed me this like written down, I would think that he said this stuff last night at a concert.
Yeah. It's funny, he's like not specific about anything. He's talking about concepts and ideas, and those things still ring true today, or just worse. It makes you listen back to stuff and go, if you do fall on that side of the line or whatever you want to call it, like, it's just like, oh man, things are going to get so much rougher. You're so upset about the way it was in the 90s, and there was, legitimate gripes and all that stuff, but it just seems so tame and beaver cleaver compared to now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting as well.
But see, it's funny because sometimes I hear what he's saying, and I'm like, this shit is still going on 20 years later, and then I get super cynical. And I'm like,
I do too.
This is never gonna. It's
always been this way.
It's never. Yeah, it's never gonna end. It's not getting better because in '95 when I heard this stuff, I'm like, oh, there are people standing up and pushing back.
Yeah.
And, in the future, this is good because this is little by little. This is how you, beat them.
Yeah.
And it's, if anything, like you just said, it's fucking worse.
Yeah. In some areas it is, yeah.
And then I just get, what's the point?
Sorry, I had a cough there. But, yes, I'm totally with you. I wasn't leaving you hanging. Sorry. Yeah, it's crazy to listen back to. I'm glad we ended up picking this one last minute like this.
Yeah.
This has always been one of my favorite bootlegs to listen to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia because I remember, just listening to this and recording it and listening back to it like at 3 a.m. because I couldn't believe I got to hear something. It was so fucking unique at the time.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It was. And I can't believe, I mean, it just shows like celebrity culture, even at the time. It's like, well, we have no idea what's going to be on this, but Eddie Vedder's doing it, so fuck it. Let's put it on the airwaves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And
there's like no commercials, I think, right? Like
No,
if you were broadcasting it, it was, 4.5 hours of no commercials.
Yeah.
Just Eddie.
And it's bands and songs I've never even heard of.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Well, let's start going through some of this. So
Sure.
He spins a couple tracks. Now, he is using a record player. I mean, you can hear it. And he starts with Teenage Riot from Sonic Youth, one of my favorite 90s bands for sure, that still, for me, kind of holds up the test of time. I love it, man. That, and I wasn't like familiar with Slant Six, and I can't really tell you much about it, but it's funny to like the first 2 songs he spins to, it's like he plays so much female fronted kind of like punk music. And that's pretty cool, man. That was 1995 and he was on that train.
Yeah.
We've got bootlegs, we've discussed bootlegs where he's on that gender equality thing since like 91. What was it, the New Year's Eve show from 91, wasn't it, where he kind of talked about that a little bit?
I think so.
Anyway, but were you a Sonic Youth fan?
No.
Just because you weren't really exposed to it, or you just didn't like them?
I wasn't exposed to it.
Okay.
I'd always heard the name Sonic Youth because, Eddie and Pearl Jam and Nirvana, like all these people would talk about Sonic Youth, and even like the music journalists, but I never heard any of their music.
Yeah.
So I really just never got into them. And there's a few songs I like now, but some bands you just miss the train on and you can't get back on it. They're one of them.
I get that. Yeah,
this song is very Sonic Youth sounding.
Fuck yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, they were like them and the Melvins, and like those are those bands that I found through some of the bigger bands that quote unquote, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana, like obviously got much bigger than Sonic Youth, but I loved learning from the bands that I loved what made them want to play music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And those were 2 of those bands.
I loved that I was hearing not just songs I'd never heard, but like bands I've never heard of before. And like Slant Six and Clark Kent. I never heard of that before, and pretty much never heard of it since.
Right.
But it was just cool to hear, totally different music than I was used to hearing every day, the same 10-song rotation.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, because it was bad back then too on radio. I mean, it had already gotten to that point. It was way better than it is now, but now it's just all programmed. But you still, even in 95, you heard the same fucking songs over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, so we get through
these.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, these are just like fun 90s punk rock songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dug this shit back then.
Yeah.
All right, so then we get the first Pearl Jam performance. So it's a whole block of Spin the Black Circle, Satan's Bed, Corduroy, Not For You, and Immortality. So, man, I mean, I've already said how I feel about these Pearl Jam performances in general. It's one of the most commonly played boots in my iTunes, I would say.
Yeah.
What stood out to you out of these songs, if anything?
Just like we talked about Jack, you know, like Jack just sounds. Jack sounds great.
Yep.
Starlin,
especially since he
agrees.
just learned these songs.
Right. And because like Vitalogy had just been released like a month before this,
Right.
maybe 6 weeks, and the songs they sound very much like the album versions.
Oh yeah.
They're not sped up.
Yeah.
You know, they sound really good.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, for me, the standout was Immortality, though. Like, for me, it was funny. The chill songs on this 18 songs that we'll cover by the end of all 4 parts of this little series.
18 or 10?
I thought it was longer. Let me look at my list here. Or maybe I have a compilation of a couple, like, 2 sets together.
Yeah, I bet you've got the 98.
Oh, they're mixed together. They are.
Yeah,
I put them on the same.
Because this was
playlist.
10. This was 10. They did 5 in the beginning and then like 5 later on in the night.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
Oh yeah. This is. I didn't even look at the rest of. This is the 2 mixed together. So yeah, we got the first half basically right here in this episode. Because we'll talk about Indifference in another episode, but like that was the other standout for me.
Ooh.
My 2 favorites were the 2 chill songs, and they were great on the other ones. But
I kind of thought Indifference was a little rough.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, can we skip ahead and go ahead and talk about that? Not really.
We'll get to it. Might be another month, but yeah. I think it was Eddie's. Eddie was just, I don't know, dude.
Okay.
Well,
maybe I'll give it a different listen.
Yeah.
But Spin the Black Circle, Satan's Bed. Now, like, you know, we got Jack playing corduroy.
Yes.
They've just, like you said, just released Vitalogy. Man, that's crazy to think about.
I know.
Corduroy is kind of a standout. You know what I like to... sorry, I'm totally skipping ahead to another episode, but just for reference as well, they kind of did radio versions of some of the songs too. Like Porch was the tin version of Porch, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was kind of nice. It was kind of cool to hear it, like short and sweet.
Yeah, and Immortality is the same tempo, if not maybe a little bit slower than the record.
Yeah.
Which you don't hear anymore, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love hearing... obviously, I love hearing, like, weird oddball versions of songs.
Sure.
But it was cool to hear these songs sound so similar to the album versions. Excuse me, but it's them playing it live.
Yeah, which just goes to show that that's how they record live. You know what I mean?
I don't think we mentioned either. Like this was, I guess Eddie. I don't know if this was a separate house, but this was Eddie. This was taking place at a house that Eddie owned in Seattle.
Right.
And apparently, it was like a practice space for Pearl Jam and for like their friends. Other bands would come into this house and play.
That's cool.
So it's really, I don't know, just to get it in your head of like they were playing in a house. You know, like in the living room of this house, the band is set up and playing, and there's kind of people just like hanging around.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like a chill, just like, you know, it is for all poor bands. They all share the same space for rehearsal, right? You know, some shitty house that you can rent for cheap, or storage space, or whatever. I
think about that all the time.
What?
Like, I just wish I could just like go hang out in the house and watch them practice.
Yeah,
and not be like,
Be like a creep.
no.
Open the window blinds. Be like, ooh.
Jeepers creepers, where Brubby get those peepers?
No, not like a creep. Like I'm.
I
friends
get what
with
you're
one of
saying.
them,
Get to
and they
observe
let me
like
co-
the music getting
Yes.
made. Yeah,
Yes.
I get that.
It would just be cool to see a song being made. So I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah, I get that. Well, so let's move on to, unless you got anything else from the performances to talk about.
No.
They're just cool. It's cool
Yeah.
to hear. Again, it's cool to hear Jack.
Well, I do have a couple things.
Okay, yeah.
At
What you
one
got?
At one point, Eddie's like, "That's Jack. That's Jack Irons on the drums." Like he sounds like a little kid. Like
Right.
he's so happy that Jack is in the band and playing with them.
Sure.
You know. And the other thing is just like I don't know. Is she barking because you're in here?
Yeah.
Let her in. You can leave the door open.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Sorry.
Are you good?
The other thing is just like the band, they are in like a practice rehearsal type space. So in between some of the songs, especially I think it's after Satan's Bed, they're like kind of working out the song.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They're like talking like, well, I meant to play it this way, and like this is how I play. I don't know if you've heard what I'm talking about, but it's just cool to hear them like talking in between
Be
the songs.
humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I sound creepy?
No, I get it.
Okay.
Totally. What else you got?
That's it.
That's it? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm kind of itching to get to the next one because I'm really
too.
surprised. Like,
Yeah.
I thought this next spot was going to be us arguing and me trying to explain something, but maybe not. So then Eddie plays, after Immortality, Eddie plays Walking the Cow from Daniel Johnston.
I really don't know how I came here. I really don't know why I'm staying here. Oh, 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 oh. I am walking the cow.
Now, I can't believe that we both like this.
Yeah, dude.
I'm super surprised that you're... Is it just this song, or do you like Daniel Johnston?
This is the only song I know by him.
Ah, okay.
And I'll give you a little bit of history. I heard Pearl Jam covered this song, and I had it on some like compilation bootleg. And I was like, what is this song? It's so beautiful
Yeah.
and pretty and slow, and it's just so like childlike.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is such a cool song. Like, what is this? And then I heard this version, and I'm like, this is so weird. Like, I'll tell you what, I thought it was Eddie, like as a 6-year-old singing this
that's
song.
funny.
That's what I thought it was, and then got older and got Google and figured out what was the actual artist, and read up a little bit about Daniel Johnston. But yeah,
dude.
I think it's such a cool song.
Even better then. So you got to watch the documentary, The Devil and Daniel Johnston. It chronicles like his whole life up to, I don't remember when the documentary came out, but it is amazing.
Really?
And I already I liked his music,
Yeah.
but documentaries, and again, like just even when this came out, this kind of stuff wasn't as every place as it is now, like Netflix and all that kind of shit. But
yeah.
getting to get more context on who he was as a person, like more in depth on his whole story, and it just made me love his music even more,
Yeah.
and not in some
I'll
kind
have
of
to
like
check it out.
ironic hipster, like, oh, I like music that's weird and kind of shitty,
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it that way. I think he legit, I mean, he is insane. Like, he's an insane person.
Right.
He's got all kinds of problems, but I'm glad to hear you say that. Like, he writes in a very childlike, simple, kind of beautiful way. And to hear other people take his songs and cover them too is pretty cool.
It's weird. It's weird because, like I said, I thought it was a kid singing the song.
Right.
He's like 23 or 24 when this song was recorded.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, dude,
But
you got to watch
it's
that
just-
documentary.
I don't know. It's just such a beautiful song.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. Then we get a couple songs from Zeke.
Yeah.
I love the first one. West Seattle Acid
punk
Party.
rock. Yeah.
West Seattle Acid Party. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just fun, dirty punk rock.
dude, and there's
music.
aren't those the
It's-
songs that are like each song is like a minute and a half long or something?
Yeah,
Super
exactly.
short,
Yeah.
fucking awesome punk songs.
I was looking through one of their albums on Apple Music. You know, at the bottom it'll list like how many tracks and then the time.
Yeah.
It's like 23 songs and it's like
10 minutes long.
25 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my god. But yeah, they're just real quick songs.
That's funny. No, it's cool, man. I love that kind of shit. That sounds like
Yeah.
like I wasn't familiar with them back in the day, really, but it reminds
Yeah.
me of just like all the punk music that me and my friends listened to back in like
And
the
I
90s.
think at the 98 Self Pollution they played like a 10 song set,
Yeah,
something
Yeah.
like that. We'll get to the 98 shows later.
sure. All right, cool. And then we're gonna play a couple of these, but then Eddie does this. He's obviously recorded himself on like a cassette 4-track or something, and he's like slowed the tape down so it pitches his voice down and it's a little warbly, and he just plays some of them. Are they all holiday messages? Yeah, they are actually all holiday related
Yeah,
messages.
I think it's around Christmas time.
That
when he
people left
recorded.
them on their voice, their answering machine back when it was those micro cassettes or whatever. Yeah, so we'll play a couple of them. Here's D Placus from L7.
Hello, Eddie and Beth. This is Dee, and I just wanted to sing you a little number. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Hey, jingle bell, roll. Okay, I'm cutting Kirk off.
Or her and her husband yelling in the background.
Right.
I guess really was what it is. And then my favorite one is Fuckers. Matt Lukin left a message. So we'll play that real quick.
Listen up, fuckers. This is Lucan over here. I don't know if you fuckers are in town or not, but Peters is having a little gathering for a little New Year's Eve party. Nothing huge, just a few people over to get drunk and fall down. But don't think you guys are in town, but just in case you are, I'd let you know. Anyway. Yeah, I hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and whatever else. I'll continue hating the world and everybody else in it for the next year or two. Hadn't started off too good. I went out to my recycling bin to take some shit out there and noticed that the neighbors have been filling their fucking shit, putting their shit in it. So I searched through all their fucking McDonald's sacks and I found a couple of envelopes with their address. So I think I'm just going to wheel it down to their house and put it in their front yard. Spread it in their front yard. Anyway, I'll be talking to you guys later. Later.
I love that dude, man.
I know.
He's totally the guy I wish... Well, I'm sure there is. I wish there was a Matt Lukin in Birmingham, because if there was, I'd probably spend a lot of time with that dude.
Go hang out with him.
Yeah, man. Hey, fuckers. Anyway, that's just like, what a weird thing to put on the radio, but I love it. Again, like putting all this in context that this is live FM radio.
Yeah, but at the time, Eddie was such a huge like person in the media, and there was all these stories about him, and the stalkers and all that kind of stuff, and hearing this stuff just totally like humanizes him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got an answer machine, and his friends call him, and they say silly shit about like I'm hanging at my parents and I hate it, and I want to just if you want to come and get drunk
real
with me.
normal shit.
Yeah, like oh, he's just a regular dude.
Yeah, man, it's good to put things like that in perspective. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's real easy to say cliches like, you know, they all take shits like all of us, and we're all the same. You know, everyone puts their socks on in the morning, whatever, all that stupid bullshit. But it's like, no, for real. Like, it's all the same stuff that we deal with, but then it's magnified because there's crazy people that want to drive a truck into your home.
Yeah.
My God. That'd make me insane, too. Anyway, so we got that, and then we got some a track. He played "Silly Girl" from the Descendants, but then that kind of leads into the next like live performance, right? Which is a 3-song set from the Fastbacks.
But you've never had a million years of time here on your hands. That you've never known just what to do and made the final plan.
Yeah, Eddie comes on and like introduces them, and because I think he was like running. I think he said there's a trailer with the like recording stuff in it,
right? Separate.
But then he has to like run into the house, to play, and to like I think that's what it was. I think he like because it like you said you can hear him like put the needle on the record, and I think he like put on the Descendants song and then like ran into the house.
Yeah, when you heard it with the voicemail or I keep saying voicemail, the answering machine messages, like there's long pauses because he's got to take the old tape out and put a new one in, and then he doesn't know how loud it is, so like 2 of them start off real quiet, and he's got to crank the volume.
Yeah,
but cranking the volume cranks all the hiss that's in the background.
Yeah,
I mean it's super live.
It's super DIY.
Yeah, but it's cool, man. Yeah, do you have anything specific to say about the Fastback set?
No, just another like fun female fronted.
Yeah,
I think it's all 3 of them females, right? Maybe not.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
Anyway, it's just fun, you know, punk music.
Yeah,
you know, garagey punk rock. But I saw them open. It was them and Ben Harper opening for Pearl Jam in '96 in Fort Lauderdale.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool. All right, so how we're gonna finish this off? We've got More of Everything from Gas Huffer, and then I found this one really just kind of interesting. It's a spoken word piece. It's pretty short. I wish I'd looked to see exactly how long it is. Maybe I'll play some of it. Maybe I'll play all of it. I don't know. But it's called A Little Restraint from John S. Hall.
I was walking down 12th Street, which was fun, past the First Presbyterian Church where I used to go to Sunday school, which I still have pleasant memories of. I still don't think of those Sunday school years as fundamentalist brainwashing for the patriarchy, so it was a pleasant stroll down 12th Street till I came upon 6th Avenue and I saw this shithead getting out of his car. I could tell immediately that he was a shithead because the back of his t-shirt said, "As a former fetus, I oppose abortion." My first instinct was to shout at him, "As a fellow former fetus, I wish you had been an abortion," but I let him walk on ahead of me because I'm not a violent man. I'm not a violent man, but I could already picture myself jumping him from behind and punching him until my knuckles and his face were a barely distinguishable, bloody, mangled mess. So I figured, let him walk ahead of me. Get away from me. Get away from me. I don't even want to look at you, you ugly, smarmy pig, because I figured, what good would it do for me to get arrested for beating on this one guy so I could sit in jail while he continues to walk the streets closing down clinics, shooting doctors, attacking women. Oh, don't get me started. So I sat on a stoop for a minute or two till I cooled off, and then I set fire to his car and just walked away feeling good about myself because for once in my life I showed a little restraint.
And the whole thing is like, for me, it's even forget what this guy's saying and whether you agree with it or not or whatever. The bigger point to me is that this stuff was getting played on the radio in a syndicated broadcast by Eddie Vedder of one of the biggest rock bands in the world. And as far as I remember, there was no fucking freak out about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas, like,
Yeah.
man, if you played something like that now,
Yeah.
on anything that was going out, like, nationally, of course, on your
And
podcast, play stuff like that. No one gives a shit. But
Yeah.
this is going out to tons of people, you know?
Right. Yeah, and it wasn't like pirate radio. This was like this was Q101 in Chicago.
Right. These aren't
You know?
AAA stations or... I mean, I'm sure some
Right.
of them were, but these were, like, the big stations in each city, you know,
Yeah.
that picked some of this stuff up. I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting.
And John S. Hall, if we can talk about him for a minute, he was the singer in King Missile.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear of King Missile?
I heard of that. I wasn't really familiar with music.
They had a novelty, like, one-hit wonder song called Detachable Penis. And it was basically...
That's right.
just
I remember
this-
that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
That's
funny,
funny.
where dude's talking about going out and partying, and when he wakes up in the morning, his penis is missing, but that's okay because it's detachable. And he goes to like I think like Greenwich Village, and they're having like a farmer's market kind of thing,
Right.
flea market,
Yeah.
and he finds it and he has to buy it back.
Buying
It's just
his
like-
own dick back.
And it's real like his singing voice. He's not really singing. It's kind of like spoken word,
Yeah.
with a band playing a song behind him. It's just a real interesting, silly song.
Right.
But they have another song. I think it's just literally called Scorsese, and it's about Scorsese.
It makes me think of, like, did you ever listen to Dead Milkman?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
Bitch and Camaro and
Right. Yeah.
shit like that.
It's similar. Yeah.
I used to listen to tons of stuff like that with Van. It's I mean, it's just I like the piece personally. I wasn't trying to like say, but just again, the bigger point that was getting played on broadcast FM radio
Yeah.
is pretty fucking cool. And then we'll end. You know, he played one more song. It was "Guilt Within Your Head" from the Gits. You dumb git. You could add that to your British vernacular.
Me?
Yeah.
The Gits. Is that what that is? It's a British.
You dumb git. Yeah.
It's a British slang.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Iga Iga.
Oh my God, what is that?
So where did that come from?
What is that?
Iga Iga?
So
Yeah.
that came from training Starlin, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm training my dog Starlin,
Mhm.
and so to train her no, you say kind of thing.
Mhm.
And
What is it?
so-
Say it again. A little louder.
Yeah.
And he just thinks that's the funniest thing. And
It's
he
kinda
likes to make
funny.
fun of me. It's kind of funny, yes. But when
Wait,
you're,
I'm funny or she's funny?
She's funny.
Okay.
but he likes to say Iga, and I don't know. But also, we have a store right down the street called IGA, and so that's why
I know the
thinking-
IGA. I know the IGA.
Everyone. See?
Okay, so it's not just Paris.
No.
Is it?
You have
Oh.
IGAs down by you?
No, but I've just from
You've heard of
traveling
it?
a lot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
But-
everyone calls it, IGA, the
Right.
IGA.
Right.
But when she starts going,
Iga. Or,
That's
No,
not what you
oh,
do.
what do you
Eh.
say?
eh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
And then-
sounds like Iga.
No, it doesn't.
So that's why
Okay.
I started saying it.
What?
Man, just
Go back
every
on.
episode I get
It's
a
in my
little bit
life.
more into your world, and it's terrifying.
I know, and I have to live with it.
Oh
I
man,
have to hear about it. I have to live with it. So
it's true. I don't. I get to hang this call up and be free. Well, I can't wait to finish the rest of this. I forgot how much, because I'm so used to listening to just the Pearl Jam performances kind of as a bootleg. You know what I mean? It's cool to go back and remember all the in-between stuff and voice messages and all that kind of shit. So
Yeah.
there's more fun stuff in the future episodes for sure. Do you have anything about this one left?
No.
Man, that was fun. I like that one. Thanks for hanging out, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's good to hear your voice. Maybe we'll meet in person again. Or again. I just said again.
I hope to meet you someday.
Yeah, man. Oh, it'll happen. It'll happen. All right. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. If you'd like to email us again, it's singlepodcasttheory@gmail.com. You can hit us up on the socials. And if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/singlepodcasttheory. Until next week, I'm Brad Lyons.
I'm Amanda Blazek.
And I'm Brad Blazek saying, I really don't know what I have to fear.
You got a lot to fear, my friend. We'll talk about that later, though. Peace. Bye, Amanda.
Later.
I died and you just I died and you watched. I died and you walked by and said no. I'm dead.